Welcome! In this video, we will share a tool that can support effective and efficient MTSS implementation. But first, what is MTSS? MTSS is a systematic, data-driven approach that allows divisions and schools to provide evidence-based practices and interventions to meet the needs of their students. This is done through a clearly defined process that is implemented to fidelity by all stakeholders within the school and/or division. But how will we know that those practices and interventions are having the desired effect on student outcomes? If you have engaged in the work of MTSS, you have asked yourself this question. And you have likely thought about how to identify what is in place in a division or school across the three-tiered continuum. The tool shared in this video is one that can support you through this process of defining and organizing your three-tiered continuum of supports. Mapping is a powerful process within MTSS, helping divisions, such as the two displayed here, to identify and streamline current initiatives, programs, and practices, and the use of personnel and data to achieve desired educational outcomes. Why invest in mapping? Because it delivers real, measurable benefits. It supports teams to improve efficiency and resource allocation, enabling schools to make the most of their time, staff, and resources. Data-driven decision-making. Teams have the opportunity to identify data systems to support the progress monitoring of outcomes and fidelity. Improved student outcomes. All students receive high-quality Tier 1 curriculum, and those needing additional supports are provided with enrichment and/or tiered intervention to meet their needs. Enhanced staff support. Educators gain clarity on available resources and how to implement them efficiently and effectively. Before your team engages in mapping, it will be important to identify the purpose. A division-level team may be making decisions about broader initiatives impacting the entire division. Or a school team may want to map out what they have in place to support students on the school level. What questions is the team hoping to answer by engaging in this mapping process? There are many different reasons we engage in mapping. Taking the time to identify your why is going to be a critical first step to ensure that it will be an effective process that will truly support your desired outcomes. Take time to review the tool. You will notice that it begins by explaining the overall goal of mapping and then shares two primary purposes. Teams may engage in mapping to identify priorities in order to function more efficiently and achieve desired outcomes. They are looking to create alignment of priorities that are requiring the most time and resources and prevent the duplication of efforts. Teams may also look to engage in mapping because they want to identify what's being implemented on the school level, determine if there is evidence that it is being implemented with fidelity, and if so, how well is it supporting students. In addition, this process may highlight the duplication of programs, practices, and efforts, which then allows a division or school to remove resources that are no longer serving them. As a team, inclusive of diverse stakeholders, take a moment to reflect on which purpose may align with your division or school's needs for mapping. You may be finding that your purpose aligns with column 1. If so, take time to identify what goals you hope you achieve through the mapping process. You may find that your team desires to engage in strategic planning, aligning prioritized initiatives to division strategic plan goals or school goals for continuous improvement. You may also find that you are motivated to identify gaps or duplications in current initiatives as you target specific division or school outcomes. Your team may want to identify whether initiatives are the right fit with expressed priorities and expressed values across stakeholder groups. Teams may also desire to build the infrastructure for data and staff support systems to facilitate more effective implementation. Lastly, teams may be looking to identify if the desired outcomes are being achieved through the implementation of current initiatives in order to determine what might need to be discontinued. Examples of initiatives that divisions often include within the mapping process are positive behavioral interventions and supports, PBIS, social emotional learning, science of reading, attendance, restorative practices, family engagement, and academic and career planning, to name just a few. If your team believes these goals align with your purpose for mapping, you will notice at the bottom of the first column a link provided. This link will take you to another document which includes steps that might guide staff when engaging in this mapping process. To get started, teams should consider several critical next steps. First, identify who will be involved in the process. Next, facilitate discussion to document and analyze existing initiatives. Next, conduct a map analysis to pinpoint positive impact, gaps, and redundancies in addition to what supports or practices may need to be discontinued. Lastly, implement an ongoing evaluation process to ensure that we continue to achieve our desired outcomes. Take a moment as a team to review each step in this process and what ways you might adapt them to meet the context of your division or school. Once you have identified the steps that would support your goals, together, establish a timeline to document the desired completion of these actions. At the bottom of this document, you will notice we have provided a sample map as an example. Remember, the function is always more important than the form. Therefore, feel free to modify the form or use another format that meets the needs of your team's purpose. When considering why your team intends to engage in mapping, you may be finding that your purpose aligns with column 2. If so, take time to identify what goals you hope you achieve through the mapping process. Mapping of this type can serve to inventory the practices and/or programs at each tier. Teams may also use mapping to determine if there are gaps or duplication in supports. They may also use the process to specify the data that will be collected for monitoring student progress, as well as intervention progress. They may also leverage it to identify staff needs. In addition, they may be looking to ensure supports are implemented with fidelity. If your team believes these goals align with your purpose for mapping, you will notice a link at the bottom of the right column. The link provided will take you to another document, which provides considerations that may guide staff when engaging in this type of mapping process. To get started, teams should consider several critical next steps. First, identify who will be involved in the process. For example, if inventorying resources for the first time across the division or school, each content department may want to meet separately to discuss each area being inventoried. Next, teams will facilitate discussion to document and analyze existing supports across all 3 tiers. Next, teams will conduct a map analysis to highlight effective practices, gaps, and redundancies. When making decisions about existing supports, it is critical to determine if there is evidence that the support is being implemented with fidelity and that 80% of the students receiving any support at any tier are making adequate progress. Lastly, you will want to implement an ongoing evaluation process to ensure that all practices and programs continue to achieve the desired outcomes. Take a moment as a team to review each step in this process and what ways you might adapt them to meet the needs of your division or school. Once you have identified the steps that would support your goals, together, establish a timeline to document the desired completion of these actions. On this page, you will notice we have provided sample maps as examples. Remember, as mentioned earlier, the function is always more important than the form, so feel free to modify the form or use another format that meets the needs of your team's purpose. Mapping is more than just an organizational tool. It's a game changer for successful MTSS implementation. By leveraging data, aligning resources, and making strategic decisions, divisions and schools can ensure that outcomes are achieved and every student succeeds. If you would like additional support, contact your MTSS State Systems Coach for guidance.